Hello everyone, are you ready to rumble with the Armageddon Chess Show? I'm Grandmaster Simon Williams over in Berlin, and I'm with the lovely Ivanka Huska.
Pleasure to be here, Simon, and I'd also like to extend a very warm welcome to everyone following live on television, but also everyone following live on YouTube. Remember to subscribe to the World Chess YouTube channel, where you can find additional content, interviews with the players, highlights of the games, and much more. And remember, if you like what you see, share this video with your friends and basically with anyone that plays chess.
Now let's have a look at what happened yesterday and some of the highlights of the day. Very exciting action was taking place, and we had some amazing games, didn't we, Ivanka?
Yeah, absolutely. So many exciting moments. And yesterday, Sam Shankland faced off against Eric Hansen, but he came well prepared and he efficiently dispatched the Canadian 2-0, knocking Eric Hansen out of the competition.
And the very exciting match and the highlight must have been this match here, Ray Robson versus Leinier Dominguez, because it went all the way down to Armageddon. Look at this amazing finish we had with Ray Robson actually flagging in the end there. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, because after all, this is the Armageddon Championship Series 2023 season. It's the ultimate chess showdown of the year. There are 3 regional qualifying events. First one's America, second one's Asia and Oceania, Europe and Africa, and a special qualifying stage, the Women's Armageddon Week. A total of 8 players are participating in each qualifying event, and there are 32 players in total. 2 players from each region have qualified online, while 6 of the strongest players have received invitations.
It's going to be very fiercely contended, and we're very fortunate to be broadcasting live, so there might be some live action from the World Chess Club in Berlin on Unter den Lindenstrasse.
And we are kicking off the whole season with the America series. During this week, these top players from the American continents are showing us how it's done. And Simon, that lineup, wow.
It's incredible, and you can see there that 2 players have been greyed out. Hopefully they're still around, Eric Hansen and Ray Robson. At least that means that Eric can enjoy a bit of the great nightlife here.
And when it comes to playing chess, we have to mention one of our partners, the FIDE Online Arena, which hosts rated tournaments and games 24 hours per day. Join the arena and you'll get a FIDE ID, a profile on FIDE.com, access to pro chess community, as well as official online ratings and titles recognized by the International Chess Federation. So play official games at chessarena.com.
And let's have a look at the bracket now so we can see how things are shaping up. And we're dealing with the winners of the first couple of rounds here. And Wesley So is playing against Renato Terry. And the other match is also interesting, Ivanka.
Yeah, it's between the 2 youngest participants, Jose Martinez and Andrew Tang. Both of them victorious on day 2.
And you can see here the pairings as they're coming up, and this is day 4 of the chess, and these guys must all be very hyped up because they won their first matches. We've reached the double elimination format. It's still going on, but everything to play for here at the moment.
Yeah, and let's deep dive into the first matchup between Wesley So and Renato Terry. Oh, Wesley did get the better of Sam Shankland, whilst Renato Terry had to go to Armageddon in his matchup against Eric Hansen. Now, they haven't crossed swords against each other, these 2 players, but the statistics are telling us that Wesley is the big favourite.
And we can have a bit of a deep dive now into the players and look at this. Wesley So becoming a grandmaster at the same age most people are just, well, starting college or something, 15 years old. He's an incredible player, one of the best in the world, 3-time US of A champion, Olympic gold medal winner, and also 3-time Philippines champion. He's going to be a very tough player to beat, but maybe his opponent can do that, Ivanka.
It is a big ask But it is possible. Don't underestimate Renato Terry at all. He's the only international master in a field of grandmasters. He's an Armageddon online winner. He's known as Terrible online, and he's been national champion as well as Pan American champion. He is so strong at blitz.
And we're going to get ready for the start now. The countdown, as always, has begun. Now, if you've been watching the last couple of days, it's fast, it's furious. Make sure you catch up on YouTube if you haven't. There's 50 seconds to go. And Wesley has the advantage in this game of having the white pieces. So he's got to try and put pressure on his opponent, who's only an international master. I mean, that sounds a bit only an international master, but he's the only player in the field.
Yeah, he has an interesting backstory, actually. You know, he's been very unlucky with the tournaments. You know, he just hasn't had the required grandmasters. Maybe he just missed out on a performance, but there you can see the players are lining up. I had a chat with Renato Terry before the game, and he actually told me that he hasn't prepared at all. The only thing he's decided is what he is not going to be playing against the juggernaut, that is Wesley So.
And they're going to be off 3, 2, 1, and we're going to see the shake hands. Yes, we do. So what is the opening going to be? Wesley plays his normal move, the king's pawn, and surely Renato knows what he's going to do. One of my favourite openings, the French defence, Jovanka.
It is. He is deciding to play it solid, I would say, and I wonder what Wesley would do. He's reaching for the knight. Will he put it on, I was going to say c3, he puts it on d2, the Tarrasch variation.
And bishop e7 is quite a modern move. It's been played quite recently by many top players. They're both developing what is called the opening stage. This is where you're sort of sizing up your opponent, trying to work out where their weaknesses is. This could lead to a very exciting position if black pushes his kingside pawn. This is a speciality that I've played for 20 years, but he probably doesn't want to play like me. That might be a big mistake. Okay, he's gone the other way. Another speciality of mine, and this is a move that Mickey Adams, England's best ever player, often plays as well. The move that Wesley's gone for there.
Mm-hmm. And we see the black queen come out, apply pressure on the center, and that is why Wesley has traded pawns. I must admit, I'm kind of unfamiliar with this type of position, but you mentioned Mickey Adams, and I know him as the French killer.
He is.
Don't play the French defence against England's #1 grandmaster.
Well, it's hard to play anything against him, but this is all pretty standard stuff at the moment. Black's retreated his queen. White has gone a pawn up, but probably only temporarily, because both of White's pawns in the centre, they're weak. They're not really connected together. They're not looking after each other. So Black is trying to take the one right in the middle with his last move. And I like that move because central pawns are very important. Remember, if you've been following the rest of our days here, you'll know the centre is the most important part of the board. Okay, he's decided to go the other way. This is a bit of a safer option, not as ambitious, but leading to a fairly standard kind of structure here.
Yeah, and I just want to mention there are some numbers, and we can actually see the heart rates of Wesley So and Renato Terry. And just to give you a kind of guide, anything over 100 means the person is under stress, and anything above 120 means that the player is feeling the pressure. And there we see Wesley. He started around 130. He's managed to get it down to 128. But the heat is on.
And we also saw the person who's got the highest ever reading on that wins a special prize. I don't know what it is yet, but they win a special prize. And Wesley got to about 170 heart rate. We nearly had to call the ambulance. We were thinking about it. The production crew was getting very worried. In the end, we waited, and his heart rate luckily went back down again. Back to the board. Another thing you should keep an eye on is the evaluation bar. You can see that it's a little bit in White's favour there. The white line just moving there is a little bit advanced. The position on the board, fairly standard for the French defence. The one real problem that Black has is his king, because he'd love to castle this special move, but if he castles, the king can get attacked very easily. Maybe a white bishop can sacrifice itself even over on the right-hand side of the board. So this is a long-term problem, I'd say, for Black here. Where do you put your king? and you don't want to leave your king in the center because it will open up and be exposed later on.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Simon. I think that big factor in the position of king safety, the king is after all the thing, is going to be a big problem for Renato Terry. But when it comes to playing with such a fast time control, I don't think those matters are so critical. I think Renato just has to survive these next few moves. He has to just pass the ball back to Wesley and say, the pressure is on you to do something.
Yeah, I really don't like, I have to say, Renato Terry's position. I've played the French defence many times, and this is the kind of middle game position. This is the middle part of the game, which I gave up the French for, and I just don't like having my king in the middle, Jovanka. I want my king to be safe. I want to be the one attacking. If you look at White's king, it's got these 2 pawns in front of it. You might be thinking, well, Black's king has got a lot of pawns in front of it, but it's getting in the way of the black rooks. It's stuck there, so they can't connect to each other. That king is just in the way, and Wesley, you can see his advantage there, bringing the other rook right into the middle of the board. So Black's just kind of got to wait around a bit here, I think, and there doesn't seem so many useful moves that he can play.
And you see the waiting right now on the board. Renato has just shuffled his rook now, he's shuffled his queen. He doesn't know what to do. He's just simply asking Wesley, come up with a plan. Just clarify the situation just a little bit so my life can be slightly easier. And there we see the queen moving to the side one more time. And the onus is on Wesley. And Wesley is also determined to play the waiting game. He's retreating his queen as well. And take a look at the clock time. Renato Terry has 52 seconds left. Meanwhile, Wesley is ticking down close to the minute. And we do have to mention that the players do get an extra 2 seconds per move.
Now, one thing you don't want to do here is castle kingside as Black. If Black now castled, the queen would zoom down and give checkmate. But we're not going to see that kind of mistake at this level. They're still kind of dancing around in the position. Wesley's heart rate, 149, not quite ambulance level. Renato Terry's also getting his heart rate up rather high there. And he's just sort of playing this idea, put the queen backwards and forwards, asking Wesley, well, what are you going to do? I'm happy with a draw. Wesley moves his pawn, pushing that bishop back a little bit, and the clocks are they're going to be critical. And this is a move which is very logical. Knights belong in the middle of the board. The white knight comes in there. It's probably got to be captured, but then the white pawn will move to where the knight is and be very nicely positioned right in the middle of the board.
I'm not sure about that move. I mean, I really did like this waiting game that was going on. Here, at least, Renato Terry does have a plan. I agree with you. Capture that knight, stick the bishop on b4, try and fight for control over the c line. And okay,
17 seconds though. I mean, he's got to speed up. They do get 2 seconds per move. We can now see them on the wooden board as the time is getting low. Keep an eye on the clocks. Black is trying to get some action down that line where he's moved his rook. Wesley moves his knight all the way to the left-hand side. That knight, again, is a really mischievous piece there, causing a lot of trouble. So Black swaps it off. The knight now attacked. It's got to come back, and it's really going to heat up, I feel, with this last part of the game. 6 seconds.
Ooh. And he's putting his knight back on the starting square. He has to move quickly, take those decisions. And Wesley applying the pressure, rerouting the queen, attacking a pawn. King moves to defend it, but take a look at that rook on h8. It's never gonna get out.
And look at the time as well. 3, 2, 1.
He's gonna lose.
He must have made that move with milliseconds on his clock. Wesley moving forwards in the middle. It looks like White has a pretty good position here. Because White has this pressure on that right-hand side, and Black's rook in the corner is not doing anything at all. But it's still got to be Wesley. He's got to find the way to push forwards and to break this defensive structure down.
And take a look at the speed of Terry's movements. You know, he's just playing those moves instantly. He's got 2 seconds. And he moves his king to the g8 square. It's going to run to h7. No, it can't run to h7. The queen offers a trade. 3, 2, gosh.
And Wesley wins a pawn. Wesley has captured a pawn. He's gone a pawn up, and again, just Amazing how Renato is moving with 1 second on his clock all the time, but it's looking very, very bad for black. Wesley's a pawn up with the time in his favor. He's pushing in the middle. He's pushing on the right-hand side. He's putting a lot of pressure all over black's position. The rook comes in, swings all the way down with a check. And, well, not quite a check. The king moves straight up. Looks great for white.
It certainly does, and Renato living on the edge. He's playing at breakneck speed, but it's not enough. His position is suffering.
Nice move there, though, from black. Black came in with the rook. Can white use the two bishops? Two bishops are supposed to be a big advantage. Wesley trying to get them in, and look at the speed that both players are playing. The rook comes in, penetrating into the middle, and in this part of the game, the ending, you've got to use your king. But black now has some chances. That pawn by the black knight, could that become a queen?
It could. Be careful, Wesley. Do not capture the wrong pawn. Instead, he's offering a trade of rooks. Good stuff from Wesley. And now it is the B pawn that is going to come a marching, and you can just feel the nerves on the board, and that's it.
That is the end. Wesley has won the first game. I think he won on time, and he was about to get another queen there by pushing the pawn to the final square and turning it into a queen. So a great start for Wesley.
Definitely a powerful start. You know, Wesley showing us why he is one of the world's best. And Wesley now in a very comfortable situation. He just needs to draw his game with the black pieces, and he will go through to the next stage in the winner's bracket.
Yeah, so all the pressure is on Renato now to try to come back from that game. It looked like he got a slightly dodgy start to the game. It wasn't a major advantage for Wesley, but Wesley is such a class player that if he gets that pressure, he can just keep pressurizing you. Little prod there, little prod there, little prod there. And he kept prodding away until he found a way into black's position. And this was still the opening stage. And Wesley playing a very safe move there, just making sure he has some space advantage on that area of the board called the queen side.
Yeah, look at him. Look how Wesley just puts his pieces on the best squares, and Renato just could not recover from that at all. It felt like he was chanceless.
I don't think he got any chances through the game, and here it is really, really tough because he's moving instantaneous, and this was a really clever idea from Wesley. He's made black push that pawn into the middle, but that pawn is now a target that Wesley went to move his bishop around and capture and round up, basically, going a pawn up. And then the rook came in. This open line, brilliant for Wesley's rooks, because those pieces there, the rooks, they work on open lines, and it was a very tough position, this for black, for Renato here.
Ooh, thrilling start, though, to the day.
Yeah, thrilling start, and we see the final stages of the game here. Both sides now really have to try to get their pawns to the other end of the board. Wesley there using his pawn first, and with the time advantage, there was nothing that black could do. That pawn was about to become a queen there, and it's quite handy having a queen, you know, an extra queen in chess. That's part of the game, isn't it?
Always a good idea if you can manage that. But we are now 50 seconds away from game two. Renato Terry playing with the white pieces. He is in a must-win situation. Now the players don't have so much time to recover. They have like seconds to get rid of the adrenaline that's pumping through their veins, and they have to reset. They have to take those deep breaths and get ready for what needs to be done. Do you think Renato can do it?
No. Well, he can do it, but I think Wesley is just so experienced and so good. You know, he's one of the best players in the world. He really is one of the elites of the elites. I mean, it's possible, but we're going to have to see something very, very special from Renato here for that to happen. They're about to start, 6 seconds. You can see Renato shaking his head. He does have the white pieces, so that is something which will at least allow him to dictate how he can put pressure on. What is this move? What is this move?
Well,
oh my word. Has he forgotten how to play chess? You can't play a move like that, surely.
He told me he came with a plan. Was he alluding to this? I don't know. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Get those cheeky moves out. I mean, how many times has Wesley faced that opening move in his life?
Maybe never.
Exactly.
Oh, I mean, the reason we're very surprised by White's first move, he just moved this pawn on the left-hand side on this, you know, it doesn't do anything in the center, it doesn't develop a piece. You want to get your knights and bishops out at the start, and here is his plan. He's trying to gain space on the left-hand side. He wants to do this bishop move. This is what we call fianchettoing the bishop, so it crosses through the center. Not so stupid, not as stupid as I first thought, only mildly stupid, not severely stupid.
I think it's a good strategy. You know, after all, these top players, they like to be respected. So why not play something cheeky? Have some fun. You know, if you're going to lose the match or if you're going to fight, you might as well do it on your own territory. I like the spirit. And
bit of South American flair.
Exactly. And taking a look at the heart rate, I can see the players are roughly around about the same, 125, 129 for Wesley. So it does mean that they are feeling stressed. And Renato coming out with the c-pawn challenging the center.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually transposed now into a pretty standard kind of position. We've seen this kind of pawn formation that Black has got here in the middle quite often. Those pawns making a pyramid. And a pyramid is obviously one of the safest structures, one of the most solid structures you can get. Again, maybe chess reflecting a bit things in life. And it's very hard to break this pyramid down from the white side. And one of the reasons Wesley's played like this is because he only needs to get a draw. White pushes a pawn into the center. The pros of that move is that it gains more control over that important part of the game. But the bad thing about that move is look at White's bishop on the dark squares. It's now stuck behind its own pawn. So you've made its range a lot worse. Remember, the bishops, they're long-range weapons, and you want to give them lots of open lines to work on.
That's true. And the question is whether you can make use of this piece that I often call the hidden assassin, because it does, as you mentioned, support the e5 square. So this is definitely going to be part of the plan. And ooh, can you play like this? So White is playing very ambitiously and trying to set up this huge pawn storm there on the left side of the board. Now it's very ambitious, because take a look at the tension in the center. It's all resolved, which means that Black now will have no problem to break out with the e-pawn, push it one square forward and have some fun there in the middle. And Renato going for it. Just, he doesn't care about what's happening in the middle, what's going to happen on the right side of the board. For him, the action, the life is there on the left.
Remember, there is the evaluation bar. If you're not sure about who's doing well, it's hovering around the middle, as it often does at this stage of the game with two brilliant players. The heart rate, Wesley, a little bit high, as is usual for him when he's playing. He keeps a very cool face considering how high that heart rate is going. And Wesley, I'm a bit surprised, did not push that pawn in front of his queen. Another issue for Renato, not just being a point down, is his time. And this is really key in the last game. He got too short on time to concentrate in the critical moments of the game. But this position, a lot of play left. White has decent chances, I think.
I agree with you. Well, I think both sides have actually very good chances. I mean, Black has got no reason to be unhappy. He's done nothing wrong after all. His bishops are in good diagonals. There's a big threat now of queen takes pawn on the board. That b7 pawn needs to be defended. Just slide a rook over, get defensive, and then you can let some fun happen later. Instead, Wesley just develops the bishop, and the pawn cannot be grabbed because the bishop on b2 is just loose.
So White slides the rook over, and now this is Wesley's idea, but this is really risky because White can push that pawn forwards. That's one idea. Because remember, if you've got a pawn, if you get it to the other end of the board, you're practically going to win the game by getting an extra queen. But he didn't do that. He simplified the position, favouring Wesley. The more pawns that get exchanged, the easier a draw becomes. But it's, the only danger I'm seeing for White here, he needs to win. It's like a mirror. It's symmetrical, the pawn structure, and it's very hard to break down a position which is similar to yours, which is symmetrical. How are you going to beat that? Renato's going to have to come out with some very clever ideas here.
And Wesley's heart rate going up, and I'm just looking at Renato's position and just thinking, where's the target? And there is one natural target, which is the pawn on a6. I think that small pawn is preventing Wesley from equalizing completely. But Wesley, I like the way he plays. He's accelerated the play when Renato has just under 30 seconds on the clock. And one of the things you have to watch out when you're so short on time, one has a tendency just to eliminate the tension, to swap off pieces, and this could make Wesley's life easier. Remember, Terry is in a must-win situation.
That's right, and looking at their faces, I would say that you know, Renato is looking a little bit more nervous. I mean, he's got more at stake here. We have a queen exchange, so more pieces coming off the board. Now Wesley moving that knight backwards, but that is unleashing the rook that was behind the knight. So now black's rook is looking towards white's pawn. Wesley would love to take that pawn, and I think so far actually Wesley's done everything pretty much perfectly. He hasn't given any big chances to white, and he's keeping a nice time advantage. Under 20 seconds now for white, and white's rook has gone to a rather uncomfortable square. It looks a little bit clumsy over there, but he needs to defend that pawn. Wesley aiming for more exchanges with his last move, and he captures that knight there, reducing the material on the board, therefore going for that draw, trying to get that draw, and so far I think he's going to get it.
Yeah, and there was a choice to be made, and he captured that piece with a pawn. I thought that was quite a natural decision, but 10 seconds left for Renato Terry. He has to now play instinctively and all at the same time keep on applying the pressure on Wesley. Wesley attacks the rook. The rook is going to retreat somewhere. Oh, he takes the pawn. Bishop takes.
Has he lost the pawn?
Has
Wesley just lost the pawn? I mean, I think he's gone a pawn down. Why did he do that? That was a crazy idea by Wesley, because white now has this extra pawn, which you can see in front of the black knight. If he can get that pawn to the end of the board, it will be game over. The time situation, though, is not in Renato's favor. Just push the pawn, Renato. Shove it up the board, all the way to the end. Get a queen. We want a queen on the board. And with Wesley's last move, he's putting pressure on that extra pawn. Is he going to get a queen, Jovanka?
I don't know. The clock is going to start ticking, and it's going to tell us 8 seconds for Wesley. The rook is now down to the seventh row, and I agree with you. Push the pawn now. No, he gets the rook behind the pawn. Okay, get the king into the game. Maybe activate the knight if you're going to go down that route. 11, 10. And Wesley jumps in with his own knight, and now the heat is on the B pawn. How can it be defended?
The heat is on, and you can see it there. It's 3 seconds
2
versus
seconds.
11. But now Wesley has a passed pawn. They've both got passed pawns. I think Wesley's doing a good job of defending. What a beautiful square.
But there's a trick on the board. Get careful with the king and the rook.
Okay, well, he's come in with the knight, and it looks like Wesley might be holding this one so far. Remember, you can't repeat the same position. It's 2. Whoa!
Ooh. And the players are in panic mode. How are they going to just
surely move the knight back?
5?
You only need a draw, Wesley.
4.
Go for the draw.
3.
3. Okay, the rook comes up. How is white going to try to win this?
Reroute the knight.
I don't know why Wesley is doing this. This is very surprising to me, because he's going for a very risky strategy. Is he trying to win this game when he only needs a draw? 4, 3. Keep an eye on those clocks.
And okay, I'm expecting the knight to come forward. Okay, Wesley going for the H pawn.
Push the
Throwing
pawn.
some checks in. Push the pawn. You mean you have to do something?
Push the pawn.
You've got to push him, baby. Come on.
Push him real good.
1 second left on the clock when he made that move.
And there goes the pawn. This is the only way that white can try to win.
3.
Wesley grabs another pawn over there, but look at white's pawn, which is near to the king. It's only 2 squares from queening. Can Wesley control it? A check there. The black king is now in a very bad situation, and that pawn, can he get it 2 squares forwards? If he can, he will win. The rook comes back to attack the knight. They're repeating a little bit just to gain some time on the clock. I think Wesley has this under control at the moment.
And Terry is leaving himself 1 second.
1 second. This is crazy. He's got to play something, but he's not making any progress.
Just move the king. Just bring any piece in. Oh, and he lost on time.
Wow. Incredible. I mean, he was always dicing with death there. That was another win for Wesley So. And Renato Terry, well, he was getting so short of time. It was only a matter of time until he lost on time. And I'm using time a lot. I like cooking with a bit of time as well. So a lot of time being used today. It is Armageddon after all, but very good play from Wesley. It was looking quite tense there at the end. It kind of felt that Renato actually had some chances with that pawn rushing up the board, but the Black King just came over to stop it. Do you like cooking with a bit of time?
Yeah, and I like it when time goes by. And there we see the opening move from Renato. What a surprise. What style. Opening up with the most unusual move in the opening, A3. We're probably never going to see the likes of it again.
No, it's a very, very rare move, and it was getting quite interesting around the middle game, where White was clearly expanding on one area of the board. You can see those pawns, they're just going rah, 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 rah. They're coming down like a monster over there, trying to get some space. On the other hand, Wesley started to basically just control things on that area. And here, some of those pawns are being exchanged, and we now get the queens coming off. So the queens are eliminated. And the problem with this is that pawn that White just moved became very weak. And with the last move there, Black opens the rook to attack it. So do we think Renato had any chances in that game?
Potentially, although he won a pawn at one stage. Here's the critical moment where we felt like he had some chances. If he was going to massage an advantage here, it was here. You know, he just had to perhaps do as you suggested, you know, just push the pawn one square forward and then introduce the rest of the pieces to follow through. But with no time on the clock, it's very difficult to do.
That's right, so that did look like one of the only chances that Renato had there. He did win a pawn, but it wasn't a very good extra pawn. It kind of became blockaded as it went up the board. Very smooth play from Wesley in general. It looked like he was in control most of the time. Okay, so here we go.
And here we see the players just a mad scramble on the clock, whilst the players are just generating time enough to think. And here it is, they couldn't quite manage it. Renato Terry loses on time and thus loses the match and drops down to the lower bracket.
Hey, hi guys.
Hey.
See you again, thanks.
And wow, and it's a pleasure to be joined here in the studio by match winner Wesley So. Wesley,
Thank you guys.
how are you feeling after the time scramble?
Yeah, it wasn't easy at all. I mean, I almost lost on time, and the second game could have gone either way. I was very surprised by 8-3.
We were going to ask you about this move, this first move, A3. Have you ever faced that before?
Yeah, I think in the Speed Chess Championship.
Okay.
Some silly games like Shankland Martinez played against me 8-3, and then I replied at some point H6, the first one. But I could never have predicted that Renato would play 8-3. He usually plays regular openings. But he got a game, actually. He got a very good position. I was surprised. I underestimated this C5, B5, and then it suddenly got slightly unpleasant to me.
And he did win a pawn later on, so there was, I mean, I guess you were just about blockading that, but it looked a bit risky at that stage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was happy to trade queens and get the endgame. I mean, I didn't give up the pawn. I had no way to keep it.
Right, okay, yeah. Well, it's quick, it's fast. Don't top players always say they sacrifice? Yeah? Yeah, it was a sacrifice.
When we had no choice, huh?
Okay, when they have no choice, it's a sacrifice.
Yeah, but I mean, the endgame should be defendable, but with very little time, it's not easy. But I was happy when I grabbed this pawn on H3 after. Maybe he didn't have to give up any of those. But yeah, I totally, probably 8-3 is also a good psychological move because it throws your pawn off balance. I thought I got decent position. Probably queen e7 was a slight inaccuracy. I should maybe knight e4. I don't know. Yeah. It's better. But yeah, it's tough. I mean,
have you ever played a format so quick like this, where you're just thrown in immediately in a studio setting, which is so bright and sort of magical?
No.
No.
No. This is the first time for sure, and it's a very exciting format. 2 games. At the same time, there's no room at all for error, and you have to be very intense. And I think the second game made some slight mistakes, but this is definitely the fastest format I've ever been.
Yeah. And looking ahead, you'll be playing the winner of between Jose Martinez and Andrew Tang. What are your thoughts on both these players?
Oh, they're both excellent players. I played Martinez regularly online, and he's very good. I think he joined Webster for a while last year, and you know, he's a speed specialist, and Andrew Tang also as well. I mean, Andrew's basically grew up in Minnesota, I believe. So we had played a few games before in the past, and also we played in some tournaments. So it's going to be exciting. You know, they're young, they're quick, and they're very capable for sure.
And a last question for you, Wesley. Obviously, it happens so quickly, these games. It's like bang, bang, bang. It is Armageddon. But how do you relax after it? Because you get so much time to relax. How are you going to relax now?
Watch the next match.
It's not relaxing.
It is for me. It is very relaxing when you're not not playing. When you're just watching, it's like you see everything. You see all the good moves. But you know, sometimes I relax by playing chess or watching chess. Certainly, I think other top players, they go watch a movie afterwards. But watching more chess very relaxing.
Well, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, and again, very exciting and well done. Congratulations on winning that one, and you can go and relax by watching more chess now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely a fun tournament, and it's short, and yeah, fingers crossed for the next match.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we have to mention one of our partners. As a technology and digital privacy company, Kaspersky supports the secure advancement of chess in the digital space and its expansion into online tournaments. It's the perfect combination of human excellence and strong technology.
And we're back now to the next part of this Armageddon day. We just saw a very exciting match, and Wesley seeming pretty chilled out there, and I like that. He relaxes by doing more chess, watching us and watching the action here. I mean, hopefully everyone at home, you're enjoying this as well, and you're relaxing at the same time. I'm not sure it's that relaxing, personally. But here are the players in the next match, Ivanka, and Wesley was saying some very positive things about both these players.
Yes, he was, and these players are known to be speed demons. They are, and especially Andrew Tang, he is like the god of speed. And both of these players are very young, 24 years old and 23 years old.
Yeah, and you may not have heard much of Jose Martinez, and we can bring up his profile now. Incredibly talented player, and you will hear more of him. He's very well known in the online world for winning many events, many big events online. He was also a world champion. Anyone who can be a world champion in the under-18 section has immense capability to thrive going forwards. So he's a very strong player, but his opponent is also very strong, and his opponent is Andrew Tang. So we'll bring up some information about him.
Yeah, he's just 23 years old, and he's so fast. He actually makes seconds look like a year. I mean, his specialty is on hyper bullet chess. He studies at Princeton, and also a very popular chess streamer. You know, we've actually seen him in action. He's so quick with the hands. I would fancy his chances in Armageddon.
It's good to be quick with the hands in this one, especially when you're playing with the actual pieces. There's 50 51 seconds to go until the game starts, and two really young, talented players here, and I honestly don't know who I'm going to favour here. It really could go either way. I'm kind of thinking we need an Armageddon today, don't you?
We've had an Armageddon every single day.
We have.
So, you know, why break a winning routine? And it's now down to 26 seconds. We see the players, they're sitting there, they're getting ready. You can feel the anticipation in the air. The lights are blue, they are changing colour. And I'm sure I would love to hear their heart rates. They must be like ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom.
I mean, it'd be a bit worrying if you could hear your own heart rate. I mean, that would terrify me. Can I not hear my own heart rate?
Can you not hear your own heartbeat?
No, that would terrify me. What, during a game?
Yeah,
Really?
Okay, we've got a handshake and they are off. And what are we going to see? Jose opens with his trademark King's Pawn, and I'm expecting Andrew Tang to play one of his, I was going to say Lopez defenses. He specializes in fianchettoing the dark squared bishop. And one of the things I have to say about Jose Martinez is that he has his own set of systems and openings. I mean, he actually told us that he came here incredibly well prepared. He prepared for every single opponent.
Wow, that's a lot of effort. And this opening we're seeing here is called the Four Knights defense, or opening. And it's called the Four Knights, funny enough, because the four knights come out. And a little bit of a tactic here. Knight takes e4, giving up a piece temporarily. I haven't seen this before. Actually, I'm pretty, this is a bit odd to me. And the black queen now tries to win that knight back, but I'm not sure I like this. I mean, this is really risky because that black queen is in the way of the black bishop, and you need to use that black bishop, you can see on the right-hand side of the board, to get castled. So you might win a pawn, but who cares? It's only a pawn. Checkmate is more important, and white is ready to castle. And he does castle. He only needs to switch that rook over one square and line it up. Okay, but the black knight blocks that open line. Maybe it's okay, just looks risky to me.
I mean, just checking out the heart rates, I'm thinking Andrew has seen it all before. He's just over 100. We've seen him be very, very chill in this time control. And I like this next move, this last move, sorry, where the knight just comes into e6. And now I'm just expecting the white knight to be kicked about.
We were talking about Wesley quite possibly having one of the higher heart rates, and we should mention that Andrew Tang definitely has one of the lower heart rates. Even though he's getting up to 100, he seems to be one of the more chilled out players here. And he now pushes his pawn forward, his extra pawn, to kick the white knight away. That white knight, well, you can't lose that piece. If it was black's move, the black pawn would just switch it up and take that knight off the board. So he brings it back, now threatening to take that pawn. And really, the battle here is all about, can black get his king safe? If black can get his king safe, he might be able to stabilize his one pawn advantage and use that later on in the game to get a queen. Bit of a funny look there, Ivanka.
Did you see that? He kind of wrinkled his nose in a little bit like, you're not meant to be playing that. And talking about not being meant to play that, the valuation bar that we see there on the left actually agreed with Andrew. He said, just protect the pawn and it will be fine.
I mean, the evaluation bar might say something, but you've got to be very careful because the white pawn is coming down. Maybe the only move that black can play to stop, well, if the white pawn keeps continuing its charge, black can swap it off. And the evaluation bar has gone a little bit more in black's favor, but my thought from a human is that it's not as easy as that because it's all about the safety of the king in chess. And you've got to get the black king somewhere where it's out of these open lines. Andrew tanking a lot of time now in this position. He's down already to under a minute. I kind of think this opening's gone well for white. I'm disagreeing with the Terminator computer there.
I'm agreeing with the Terminator. Oh. I love this type of position for black.
Let's have a bet.
It's like, yeah, let's go for it.
What are we betting?
Dunno.
Don't know. We're going to bet don't know.
But we'll find something to bet on. I'm just thinking that, you know, Black's position is super solid. All he needs to do, but the clock time does worry me. I think I might.
Spend a minute on
he can't do this. This is impractical. He needs to develop his pieces, get his king castled there to the left.
28 seconds.
I don't know. He's just. Whoa! What is that move?
I mean, this.
No, that was not what I was banking on. I was thinking that he would develop his pieces, and I don't feel that Black should have risen to the challenge like that, because that concedes the e5 square.
Yeah, I mean, there's a square there in the middle of the board, and when you see an outpost, you want to get a knight to outpost. It's very hard for White to get the knight to that square. It's the longest route possible, but it seems like White must have some ways to put pressure on this position for Black. And it's this time, wow, this is a really, really outrageous move in some respects, because you're opening up your own king. The White king is now very exposed. Jose is gone into turbo gear. He's like, right, I'm coming for you. He now takes that pawn off. He can win that pawn back, but at last, Andrew is ready to castle his king. Really complex position here. Lots of open lines, but 17 seconds for Andrew, and he moves so calmly. He's such a calm player, and he does castle. He gets his king over there at last. Is that good news for Andrew?
It is good news that he's got his king to safety. What's not good news is his clock time. I mean, he just has 17 seconds left, and the position is complex. It's crazy. It's wild. For instance, that bishop doesn't need to take a step back. The queen can come and defend it and establish a battery, and there you go. It's there on the board. And now, how is Andrew gonna generate some play with just seconds left on the clock?
He brings his rook forwards, and that is aimed to maybe at some point swing it across. White can also do the same. White can swing his rook if he wants to. The only kind of thing I'd say that White would like to do, his pieces on the left-hand side of the board from where he's sitting, they're not doing much, so he'd like to get them to better squares, but there is still certainly a bit of pressure on Black's position here. I would take the White pieces here. I like attacking. I like going forwards. He's moved his bishop calmly back now so that his pawn can keep advancing. I still really like White's position.
I also really like White's position, but both sides must tread with care, especially when you take a look at the king safety and getting out of the eye line of the light squared bishop. I think this is good stuff. 9 seconds for Andrew, and now he's moved his knight to trade off the light squared bishop.
Well, the black knight, I do like that move that Andrew's played, and at some point that black knight can take White's bishop, and the reason that's a good move is because it's another attacker. But here comes another bishop. That other bishop flies in. There's some really sharp tactics here. Can that bishop that Jose moved, can it capture the rook? But then the black knight would capture the white rook. They're working this out with seconds on the clock. Obviously in chess, you have to see a long way ahead. You've got to sometimes think 10, 15 moves ahead with lots of different branches. 7 seconds
6.
left.
And I think he spent too long to make that natural recapture. And now the rook comes down to the 7th rank. Rooks belong on this line. And Jose Martinez, he's just lining up all his pieces towards the black king. Okay, are we going to see a repetition? No, Andrew says absolutely not. I'm going to develop the light square bishop.
Let's remember now that Andrew is actually, he's a whole pawn up. He's defended this brilliantly. There's only seconds left for both sides, but we've seen how cool Andrew is. He's a pawn up in an ending. This should be a winning ending for black. He's got more time. He's going to get his rook into the game. The white king comes in, stabilizing the rook, and both players bringing their pieces towards the middle. If Andrew can keep his cool, he should win this game.
And you have to remember that the players will get 2 seconds extra per move.
They are, and again, it just amazes me how calmly Andrew moves the pieces. He's now 2 pawns up, but the white knight has gained a very good square. That black rook trying to win another pawn with check, so white has to move that pawn. Andrew moves the rook back. That's checking the king. He's still got to win this game. Can he get the king to a better position? He does. 3 seconds for white.
And, feels like there's some tricks left, right and center, and the rook mobilizing to great square.
It's definitely a winning position. Bishop takes pawn, would win. He missed the move. He could have won on the spot there. Bishop takes pawn, check. He can do it. Oh no, he can't do it here. But he still should be winning here. Look at that pawn. He's found another way to win. That pawn will surely become a queen. We see this so often in the blitz chess. We often see you can take the pawn now, I feel, but he's going to get a queen. This could be the end of the game, Jovanka, and it is.
Yeah, it is. And it is Andrew Tang who emerges triumphant with the black pieces. A very important victory there.
Yeah, he defended so well. We know why he's called the Blitz King. We know why he's so good at this height, but he's so cool. You know, I'd be all over the shop there, but with 10 seconds left defending this ferocious attack from Jose, he just kept his cool, and then he won a pawn, and he converted that extra pawn in the ending into a win. And that was just impressive.
It was magnificent stuff.
Yeah.
And there we can see it was a surprise opening from Andrew Tang, you know, taking a pawn with a knight so early on in the game. And the queen comes out to pin the knight, and well, it was such an offbeat opening from both sides. I like the way that they handled the position, but I have to say I was very impressed with how chill Andrew was to take like a 1-minute pause and try to navigate all the complications.
He did, and we saw around this stage that black has the extra pawn and many pieces are getting exchanged. This is what you want to do when you have more material, more points on the board. You want to exchange pieces off, because then your pawn becomes more important, it becomes more powerful, because it comes into sort of a light of its own. Here I am, the little strong pawn, and we get right into the ending here. The black rook now checking the king. Look at that black rook. It's so active. Keep your pieces active at the end part, and there was a number of good moves here, and this was actually a very clever idea, because he gets this pawn on the side, and that pawn on the side wins the game, Jovanka.
Yeah, and there it went a-rolling. Very impressive victory from Andrew Tang. And here we're going to see the closing moments where Jose attacks the bishop, but Andrew doesn't care. He is going for gold, going for broke by establishing a new queen on the board.
So if we want to see Armageddon, then Jose has got to win the next game, but he has the disadvantage of having the black pieces. The countdown has started. Can he come back in black there?
He's going to have to. Back in Black, yeah, I noticed that.
Song,
Or
yeah.
Back to Black, that's my favourite song as well. And the clock is ticking down, 40 seconds. The players are seated. They are ready to get going. They're ready to rumble and start moving those pieces as quickly as they possibly can.
I think there's always a chance against Andrew, because Andrew does at some point, it seems, tank a lot of time. So if you keep the pressure on him, then I think you'll get a chance. And that's what Jose needs to do in this game. He's got to win. He can't play safe chess. He's got to just keep a time advantage, keep pressing Andrew. Andrew, let's remember, only needs a draw. If white draws or wins, he's through to the next round. If we want Armageddon, we need black to win this game. They are off.
Yeah, and we're expecting Andrew to open up with the queen's pawn, and there he's chosen a different approach than he has done before, and is playing into the main line Nimzo Indian. And here's perhaps the first surprise of the day. He's simply defended the knight with his bishop. This is now a very trendy variation. See a lot of the grandmasters playing, but if you know your stuff, black should emerge with an equal position. So I'm expecting castles. And one thing I've noticed about Jose Martinez is he actually likes to fianchetto the light squared bishop.
Well, let's see if he does that, and we can see the heart rates now, both pretty even actually, so they're doing a good job of keeping it around a stable 100. Look at the evaluation bar, also very even. And sometimes it's not always about getting an opening which gives you an advantage. It's about getting a position you enjoy playing, because you'll play better moves from a position you understand better and that gives you a bit of a smile. We have an exchange of pawns in the middle of the board. Black looking quite solid at the moment. I think one of the reasons Andrew's picked this particular line is because it's solid. You can dictate the game with the white pieces. As we said before, why take too many risks when you only need a draw? Can he get the draw? He's already a bit down on time, yet again.
Yeah, we've seen that's a bit of a false friend, you know. He leads us down the path of overexcitement and we get crazy because he only has seconds left. But it turns out he's cool as a cucumber, as we say, and there's nothing to worry. And I do like Jose Martinez's last move, you know, dropping back the bishop, pointing it towards the white king. It's just a very stable position. The only thing I would say is that if you do play for a draw, you can make timid decisions. And suddenly these timid decisions lead to negative factors.
That's right. I mean, I would have thought that black should be very happy with the way the opening's gone, because let's just have a look at the pawn structure and the pieces. The pawn structure is like your skeleton. It keeps your body up. The pieces are like your organs. They're kind of what pumps and makes your body work. The pawn structure is a very standard one where black has got more pawns on the left-hand side of the board, but it's the pieces. And I like black's pieces a little bit more because they're more freer. And you see the black knight coming right into the middle, the rook supporting that knight. It's a beautiful piece. And I don't like white's dark square bishop. It doesn't seem to be on the right square for me. Andrew now trying to get rid of that knight, but Jose just maintaining it on that square. So I really think Jose could not have got a better opening here with all the pieces remaining on the board. Couldn't have wished for anything better.
I mean, take a look at all those pieces there that white has on the right. I mean, the bishop and the rook just look clunky to me. And we see Jose just playing very natural chess. You know, the queen has moved.
Oh, I love that move.
Oh.
I love that move. Do you know what we call that pawn, Jovanka?
We call it Harry, and is moving forward.
He is.
He's a man with a plan.
It's a man with a plan. That black pawn on the right-hand side, it's what we call on the H file, because you start on the left and it's the 6th row, and the 6th row of the H file. And that pawn, Harry, he comes to life, is going to start doing a bit of a, you know, if you've seen the film Dirty Harry, he's going to come down, he's going to harass the white king. I really like black's chances here. I think he's done everything correct. And Andrew, again, is down to 1 minute 7 seconds. He's just shuffling though. It doesn't seem like he's got a real plan now. And we can see Gary, the G pawn, just moving in front of black's king. Maybe black's king will come forwards next move. And the pressure is slowly but surely building up on that area of the board where black, to my eyes, has the advantage.
Yeah, and you can actually see in their heart rates that Andrew is actually feeling the heat. He's feeling uncomfortable because his heart rate has shot up to 111. These numbers do not lie.
They don't, and Andrew normally doesn't go over 100. He's still just about okay, but you can see he hasn't got a plan. The white pieces, they're kind of just moving backwards and forwards, not really doing anything. On the other hand, black slowly is going the right way towards white's king. But the real thing that is annoying for white is that black knight in the middle of the board. We've called it many names, like the octopus, its tentacles going all around to the left and the right, the spider weaving its web all around the middle of the board. What else could we call it?
The kraken.
The kraken, I like it. I like it. The monkey jumping around. It could be many things, couldn't it?
Yeah, and talking about jumping around, that bishop has now jumped into white's side of the board. And, well, Andrew retreats his knight, but take a look at the king. The white king has got zero protection. It's got no defenders. And I'm just also eyeing up the bishop there on d6.
Look at it.
Shooting at the h2 square. And I'm just wondering, okay.
Is there a tactic?
It has to be a tactic. Like, is there like some bishop takes pawn, the knight jumping? Is that a Greek gift there?
Has he gone for it? No. Okay, but he might do it next move.
He can do it next move.
Can he go bishop takes pawn check? Jovanka found a brilliant idea.
Yes, he's got it for it. Okay.
And look at that look. Look at the look on his face. He's saying, I'm coming for you, sonny. That was like, look in my eyes, I've got you. Oh, look at that. There he goes again. I love it. I've got you. That is a check. What are you doing now, mister? Oh, and he's won a pawn with check. The bishop has done that was horrible. Well spotted, Jovanka there. Great move.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just crying out to be played. And take a look at that poor white king. It's got no protection. It's a pawn down and suffering.
And with this extra pawn, it's not just an extra pawn, it's a pawn that can be used to open up white's king. And this has been the theme throughout this game. The black pawn slowly coming down towards white's king, black's pieces coming towards white's king. And it looks to my eyes that Armageddon is a really likely possibility here. We've got to have it every day. The black king kind of needs to get out of the way. The rook coming. This is horrible. Ooh. The white knight coming back to try and defend, but I just don't like it for white. If I was black here, I'd be getting the rook over in front of white's king. Get your pieces lined up against the king.
Yeah.
Because
I do the same, and he's doing it.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, son.
The king stepped forward, clearing the way for the rooks to join in the fun. And it's coming. You know, you've got to invite all those pieces to that fabulous party that's happening there around the white king.
You saw that last move, a special move. It's called en passant, or capture in passing. And this is a move which you don't often see. But look at the white king. The white king now has no pawns. It's basically naked. And, you know, you don't want to be naked walking around. Even in Berlin, it's a bit risky. And it just doesn't have any protection. Andrew trying to create some counterplay, but that is the end. The rook comes in, and Jose levels the score.
What a masterclass by Martinez there. It just felt that Andrew Tang just did not get motoring. And there we see the scores are tied 1 point apiece, which means it's gonna get dirty. It's gonna be Armageddon. I don't know why I put on a weird accent, but I did.
I thought it was a cool accent.
Okay.
Very nice. Can we have more of that accent, please?
Alrighty. Okay, and here we see a critical moment. Here it is, pushing the H-pawn up the board. Just imbalancing, disturbing Andrew Tang's coordination there on the right side.
Yeah, that was a great move, that one. And the whole game was kind of perfectly played by Jose. And it's really impressive to come back from being a point down with the black pieces and playing so well and so calmly. And here, Jovanka very sharply spotted the idea that we're going to see black play. He first of all captures that knight, but it's the next move which is the brilliant move. And look at this move, and look at the look he gave him. The look was like, yeah, baby. It's like, I'm coming for you here. Look at this. Brilliant. Oh, so calm as well. We even
got it in slow motion as well. I mean, key moment in the game.
Oh, I gotcha. That's what that look says. That look basically says, yeah, I've gotcha. And that was a brilliant move, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We call that tactic the Greek gift, that kind of move with the bishop. It has a term. And after that, white was in all sorts of problems here, Jovanka.
Yeah.
And you could see the end of the game is coming up here. The white king, it just doesn't have enough pieces around it or enough pawns around it. The black rook will shortly come in, and there's just nothing here that Andrew can do. Really, really tough position. The knight grabs the pawn, and the last move, there it is, a horrible check. That rook attacking the king, and there's nothing there that white can do in that position. So a great comeback there from Jose, and we're now to the Armageddon stage.
We are, and I have to tell everyone, fasten your seatbelts because things are gonna get bumpy. I can't wait for this one. And Andrew, I think, will have the black pieces, which means he'll have 4 minutes and gets draw odds. Jose Martinez will have the white pieces, which means he will play with 5 minutes, but needs to win in order to continue in the winner's bracket. And Armageddon, it's a-coming.
And I just love the red Armageddon sign. I always get excited when I see that for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, it's an all-in situation. Other things to bear in mind, in every game we've seen so far today, you get extra time for the moves you make. There's no more extra time. We call it increment. This is a countdown situation. So the clock becomes doubly important. You don't get time, and we've seen already Dominguez lose on time. They're off. Now white must win this game. We see the same opening again. Will Andrew continue with this very risky move? He has. I mean, this was so exciting last time. I mean, I'd be very happy if I was white here, because it seems that white gets the initiative and white needs to win. Very risky strategy from Andrew.
It is, but bear in mind that the players don't have any time between the games to kind of call up a second and go, hey, what should I play? They're just sat there at the board trying to refocus their nerves and take a look at those heartbeats. Jose has 86, whilst Andrew Tang slightly higher on 92, but relatively calm. Both players just establishing that flow.
Yeah, and we see our first new move here. In the other game, white shifted the rook immediately in this position, if you can remember that. Black now getting ready to open up the center, but white gets his first lunge, and I love this idea. It's just the king safety here. The pawn in front of the white rook comes 2 squares forwards, and the point of this move, it wants to move another square attacking black's knight there. You can see, he's even body language, he's even moving his head saying, yes, I am really liking this. Andrew has played a very crafty move there. Typical Andrew, brilliant defensive play.
Every move has its consequences, and do not be tempted to grab that pawn with a bishop, because there you would be in for a rude awakening, because the queen would dash out to the c5 square and give a check to the king and attack the bishop. So that's why we see Martinez just tuck his king into the corner, and it feels like this is almost the same scenario that we saw in game 1.
The only difference here, and I think it's a big advantage for white, who had a dangerous position anyway, is that black doesn't have an extra pawn in the center, and the white rook might be on a better square here. So there's a very subtle change that Jose's done, and I think it really helps him. He's now pushed another pawn forwards, and I really, he's got the position he wants. In a must-win situation, you've got to take risks. Can Andrew get his king safe? This is going to be a key factor in this game. A bit of manoeuvring with the white there, white knight, a bit surprising, and
he's going to maneuver that knight to the g3 square, and okay, so captures the pawn, and now it's going to go to the g3, pile on the pressure on f5, and Andrew does not seem phased at all. He just like, okay, wow. The key attacker is the light square bishop.
Black castle.
Away.
This is a brilliant move. White bishop is threatening to come all the way out and pinning the black queen to the black king. And that means that black king, I can't see a way, it has to move. And Andrew now has lost the right to castle. When you move your king, you can't castle. And black king has moved. And Jose just playing some very calm, what we call developing moves, getting the rest of the pieces into the game. Looking to my eyes like white should be really happy with this position. His king is safe in the corner. The black king is lined up in the middle of the board. It's not the end of the world, and the valuation bar actually thinks it's pretty even, but I don't know. I like attacking, so I like white here, Ivanka.
Yeah, I like my material, so I'm going to say...
I think you won the bet in the first round as well. So you
I don't remember. But here, I mean, it's such a nervy situation. If you like attacking, you're going to love white's position. If you like your material, you're a pawn grabber just like me, you'll say, okay, black is okay. Black just has to defend every single loose piece. Take a look at that rook on the corner, that's loose. Tuck that to a protected square. The black king must find a safe home, and I like what Jose Martinez has done. He just kicked back the black knight, and now I'm expecting white to accelerate the play even more. He's got to open up some lines. This is the only way to infiltrate the position.
Yes, I mean, a standard idea would be able to use your pawns as white here to try to break that little barrier. You see the black pawns are in a sort of line and they're stopping white's pieces coming through. So the white rook gets behind that pawn and he's going to push it forwards at the right stage. The clock becoming more and more significant because you don't get any added time, and Andrew is down at the moment, as always. He's always down on time. They're moving their pieces around, a bit of shuffling about, and that bishop, Jose, is he going to move it back now? He might just move it back. No, the queen is just stepping up. Still roughly even. Yeah, I think it's roughly even, but something must give soon.
Yeah, I'm kind of puzzled by Martinez's last moves. I was expecting the white rook to perhaps align itself next to the black queen, but nope. And instead of him pushing the pawns, now he relocates the bishop. He's just biding his time. I think he's going to hit that red button when Andrew has less than 1 minute on the clock.
Yeah, the black king is shuffling around, trying to find safety. We mentioned before, get your king behind your pawns protect it. So the black king has found a little bit of happiness over there, but Jose, on the other hand, is using his pawns to open up that position on the left-hand side. And the white bishops, where are they pointing? Both of the white bishops pointing at black's king. White's queen pointing that way. Nice move from Andrew. He's trying to close the doors around his king. No, you're not coming in. My drawbridge is up. Can Jose open that area? I'd be maybe checking the black king, trying to just keep open lines. I don't want my opponent to close the king up. And has he gone for it? He's gone for a very interesting move, tactically forcing the opening of that side of the board, Jovanka.
Yeah, it's very clever. It's a good move from Martinez. He needed to do something. He needed to do something radical, and it's happened on the board. And I'm expecting more of the same, actually. You know, he needs to introduce all his pieces into the attack, and he drops back with the queen. I like that move. The bishop is threatening to come into the c5 square at the right time. Maybe the knight can spring forward.
White just has this extra pressure. It doesn't matter that black is a pawn up if black gets checkmated. Black has now gone 2 pawns up though, so it really means that white must win before an endgame happens. If an endgame occurs, that is going to be disastrous for the person with the less pawns. Can he checkmate at some point? Well, the time situation, Andrew 48 seconds, Jose 1 minute 12. He comes in with his rook, keeping pressure on. He's now giving up his rook, but he's won the queen. There goes the queen. White has won the queen, but black has loads of pieces for the queen. It's got crazy.
It has got crazy, and the thing is though, he has extra pieces to defend his king, and all he has to do is just make sure he plays fast chess and keep the king safe. Pawn drops off the board, and now we see Andrew speeding up. He now needs to start flying with his pieces.
The clock is so important here. If you get to 0, as we know, you lose on time. Andrew coordinating his pieces brilliantly. He's such a great defender. I didn't realize how good he was because he's been under so much pressure and he's just keeping his cool. He now has, for the first time in a game, a very sizable time advantage. Jose winning a pawn, black winning a pawn. They're both centralizing their knight. It's all going to come down to the clock, I feel. Pieces getting exchanged. I really like black's position. Black has this lovely coordination with all of his bits there. The queen can cause trouble, but can it cause enough trouble? White comes in. White has to win this game. Can white do it in time? The rook comes in with a check. The pieces are going to fly. They are flying. And they flew before. It's getting random. It seems like Jose is the quicker player.
He is the quicker player, but he doesn't have so much time. He only has 11 seconds to 16 seconds, and these pawns are just running. Whoa, what happened there? What's happening?
What's happening? What's happening?
What's happening?
Oh, they need an arbiter. We have maybe our first bit of controversy, because was the pawn, I think what Jose is saying that pawn was not that far up the board.
Yeah.
I think he was saying, you push your pawn too far forwards. It's Armageddon. This happens all the time. It happened for decades and decades at the top level, this kind of chess where you've got no increment. I've seen so many arguments occur. So the arbiter has had to step in to try and work out what the position actually was. I have no idea. I don't know, because everything was going too quick for my simple eyes.
Yeah.
What do we think? And this is going to decide who wins this game. Because if that pawn was on the right square, I think it's going to be, well, it was about to queen, so surely Andrew will win this. But if Jose was correct in thinking that he played what we call an illegal move, pushing the pawn, not on purpose, of course, but by accident, then it's going to be Jose who wins. Woof.
And we can see the action now. How quickly did that pawn advance? Okay, so what went to h4?
Check there, the king moves.
It went, a check, yeah.
No, it's okay. Andrew has not He has not done the wrong move. He has not, that pawn did go correctly up the board. It did not go 2 squares up the board. It was very clear there. Just call me arbiter, the ginger arbiter if you want, whatever you want. I think that game, it's looking like Andrew is gonna get the verdict there. This is like what you get in football, the VAR. You know, was it a penalty? Was it not a penalty? I mean, I think that was quite clear, Ivanka, wasn't it?
It was very clear. There was nothing wrong. Okay, the players were playing super fast, so it's very understandable. But there we see.
We say the arbiter, Ivanka, it's like the referee, isn't it? So there is like a referee on standby, and the rules are that the players can't stop the clock, you know? I mean, they can stop the clock. The referee cannot get involved until the players have stopped the clock. So we saw this happen in a game earlier on between Dominguez and Andrew Tang. And people were saying, well, why didn't the arbiter get involved? Well, I believe, and I'm not an expert, even though I claim to be sometimes in arbiting, I believe that the arbiter can't get involved until one of the players stops the clock and calls the arbiter over. That's my belief. That is exactly what Jose's done here. So the right process has been done, and the arbiter is now, I assume, checking what on earth is happening. I would not like to be in the referee's decision now. I mean, they say that if you're a chess player, maybe like football, you want to be the actual player. If you can't be the player, the next best thing is obviously commentating. If you can't be a commentator, you want to be a coach, then maybe an arbiter. Poor old arbiters. Did I just make that up? Yeah, I did.
You don't hold them in high esteem. No, but I mean, here the great thing is that we have it all recorded.
Yeah.
So the arbiter can simply consult the footage, and we can see it super clearly that nothing untoward has happened. And just to go through it once more, here we can see the big sequence of moves. So a few checks have been delivered, and now here the pawn race has been initiated. And here we can see check, king must move, pawn starts running.
If anything, white's pawns are much less clear than black's pawns. And look, that pawn was correct. And here we see that there was nothing wrong played there. And I think Jose just got a little bit confused because it was so quick, it was so fast, but it's clear that no dodgy moves have been there. I mean, we're talking about referee. No kid dreams, oh, I want to be a referee when I'm an adult.
You're wrong.
No, they don't.
You're wrong.
Don't tell.
Actually,
so hang a minute. So a kid when he's growing up would be like, I don't want to be a Premiership footballer. I'd rather be a referee.
You're wrong. There's so many people who want to be like, I want to, and there we see.
We have a result. I think we have a result. Okay, it looks to my eyes like the game has gone in Andrew's favour, mate. And he's agreed, I think, that Tang has won. That was the right decision. Really good sportsmanship there from Jose, because he could have been so upset, and we have Andrew going through.
Yeah. Oh, what a great end, actually, to an exciting day. Armageddon is what we want. It's, taking chess back to the streets. I love it,
It's like street chess, isn't it?
It's a street fight. It's a brawl. Anything can happen. We get all the emotion, right?
But it's a competition. I mean, remember this form of chess with our increment. It was the most common form for most of chess history. Nearly all the world championships, they played without increment. We had these blitz finishes happen all the time, and it is Armageddon, what happens in most tournaments anyway. So it's great to see it over the board. And you can see some highlights of the game here. This was earlier on it looked to my eyes like white was doing very, very well, but I just didn't realise what a great defender Andrew was.
He really played resourcefully, a lot of grit and great time management. And we can see here when things got very tricky, he took those right decisions. And even though he lost his queen, and I use the word lost in inverted commas, he's just, again, using all his pieces to create maximum chances and do what needs to be done.
Yeah, it's so exciting here. And they got down to that crazy blitz finish. And we remember Andrew's had a couple of these so far in this tournament. He had one against Dominguez, he had one here, and he's won twice in Armageddon. And the queen now comes in, and this was the end of the game. You can see both sides were pushing their pawns. To be fair, it was black who had the winning position here, and black only needed a draw, and you can see there was a bit of confusion, understandably there, and the arbiter made a great decision. The referee did a good job. Well, we've got now, and I'm really looking forward to this, an interview with Fiona, and I believe the loser. So, wow, what's gonna go on here?
Well, we'll find out.
Jose, a crazy match against Andrew. It went to the Armageddon. I'm not sure if all the viewers at home already know what actually happened, so maybe can you just explain what happened in the end?
Oh yeah, I was just playing fast because I get in time trouble, so I didn't see the pawn. I trust like the pawn was on c3 because I just make checks, and I saw the pawn was not too close to pawn to convert the queen, so I just see when I play queen c8 what? Because if I see the pawn on c2, I will not make a queen c8. I will make another move, like maybe a check. And maybe I don't have a check, but I will make another move. So yeah, so I was surprised in that moment because I was just looking one sector of the board, so I forget the another sector. Yeah.
It's the most dramatic finish, I believe, that we've had so far. What are your emotions after this Armageddon game?
Yeah, like always disappointing. Yeah, I think I was winning the last game. If I'm not correct, I can have advantage at first, and the second was relatively quite easy win. So if I just don't collapse, maybe I will win this match. But yeah, that is chess. That is why I'm not professional, because yeah, professionals win that kind of matches like Wesley, and I don't know.
Let me ask you about one final moment in game 2. You played this nice bishop takes h2 check, and we saw you stare at Andrew on the camera. How important do you think psychology is in this format?
Yeah, I think that bishop h2 moment was easy to spot, but he was playing so shy. He plays a shy game, so he needs a draw, but he plays a shy game. So I expect more solid opening. Then he just was playing passive moves, and then I just put my pieces where I want, and I did the classical Greek sacrifice. So it was a quite easy tactic, and yeah, I think no psychology in that move. Just spot the good move and finish the game, I think. Yeah.
Well, commiserations, but the tournament is not over for now. Back to the studio to Jovanka and Simon.
Well, I'm really happy to see that Jose was smiling there, and everything's played in great spirits, but we have the winner, Andrew, and you seem so relaxed. Are you that relaxed?
That one actually, I think, got my heart rate probably pretty high for once. Yeah. As just after game 2, I needed to recover, but like my king was in the middle of the board the whole game, so yeah, very stressful.
We were incredibly stressed just watching it, and I can only imagine. I mean, like, look at the end here. You can see the replay we have.
Oh yeah.
We were looking at who was moving quicker, and you're both moving. So I mean, you've got the reputation of being the quickest guy around, but Jose's quick as well, right?
He is, yeah.
So I mean, look at the pawns going up the board, and both your pawns are sort of it's very unclear, and we see the end here where you're about to queen, obviously winning the game quite easily, and Jose just not sure, so he calls the arbiter. But you've had 2 of these now. I mean, what about the one with Dominguez? I mean, that was crazy as well, right?
Yeah, I think that was really good practice, honestly. I started to play faster earlier this game, so I could be not down too much in the time scramble, but
yeah, it was good.
And did you do any specific preparation for this tournament? Because it is something completely different.
Yeah, I played a little blitz over the board, but mostly I just did a little opening preparation, played blitz online, but it's always good, I think, to play over the board a bit to get the feel back before a tournament like this.
Yeah. It's very hard to prepare for something like this, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is, did you see this when Martinez played this bishop takes h2?
Yeah, I completely missed it.
Yeah, but look at his eye contact there. Did you spot the eye contact?
I didn't. I was too focused on
the position.
And what were you feeling after that game?
Yeah, actually, I don't know. I managed to calmed down pretty well. Somehow I knew I was losing a lot earlier, so I guess I dragged it out a little bit to just give myself some time to recover, and it worked.
So do you have any tactics of calming down? Because I could really do with some, because I cannot, you seem so calm.
Yeah.
How'd you do it?
I don't know, well, naturally I guess I am a calm person.
Yeah.
Otherwise I just try to clear my mind, but I don't have anything special.
Oh,
Just innate talent.
I need that special powder or whatever it is, special. Okay.
And looking ahead, you're going to be facing Wesley So. So how are you feeling about that matchup?
Obviously, it's going to be very difficult. He's probably the clear favorite in this tournament, I would say. And well, I do know him pretty well because we're both from Minnesota originally. And I even played some practice blitz games against him the last few days. So.
But if you're going to say you're slightly better in something, what would it be?
I mean, it has to be my speed, I guess.
Okay.
But, yeah. I'll try to get it down to Armageddon again. Maybe I can.
Oh, well, you've heard it here first. Andrew's going to take it down to Armageddon for the third time. You are now the king of Armageddon at the moment, clearly. And thank you so much for coming along. And we're getting near the end now. But it's been so exciting so far.
Yeah, thank you very much, and good luck in the.
We'd now like to bring in the official partner of this tournament, and that is IT.com, which is a domain registry like no other. It provides a platform for anyone to try and create their very interesting ideas, a new winning website that could make you a millionaire. So go and check it out, IT.com. And every day here seems to get a little bit more exciting. And we can see that we have some really good games lined up as well, Jovanka.
Yeah, we do. We have Jose Martinez against Sam Shankland and Leinier Dominguez against Renato in the lower bracket. So if anyone loses tomorrow, they will get knocked out of the competition.
Yeah, so we'll see that, and those knockout days are incredibly interesting. But Andrew Tang, I mean, wow, I'm very admirable of how he keeps it so calm when we're losing the plot here. And he's just like, yeah, well, I'm just Mr. Cool, man. But thank you very much. And Jovanka, it's time for us to go. So cheers, everyone. And make sure you come back for tomorrow. And the action then, it's going to be great. It's going to be brilliant. Bye.